William here. Today we're going to cut wheat with the New Holland CR920. This is the latest combine in the fleet that we have. We picked this unit up on auction for a reasonable price. We're going to bring you along. First thing on the docket to talk about, we were having a terrible time trying to keep up with the fuel consumption with the CR920 with 5-gallon gas cans. I had to go to the local Rural King and pick this unit up. This is a 55-gallon maximum fuel tank. It says it is 48-gallon safe fuel capacity, so that's what we put in it. That's on this data tag here. This unit runs off of 12 volt. Got the gator clips installed. These did not come with it. This is just long enough. I kind of bought the cheapest setup that I could because we don't do a lot of farming, and I really didn't want like a 100-gallon tank sitting around with diesel going bad in it. So I bought the smallest and cheapest unit that I could, and it works great. This hose is just long enough if you get the combine super close. There's about maybe a foot of slack left if you get the combine, I mean within 3 or 4 inches of the truck. Alright, we've arrived in the field. Gonna unhook our wagon. Gotta fuel up the combine. Charlie did quite a nice swedge yesterday. Better back that up a little bit, get a little bit closer. Like I said, that hose is just long enough. Got our gator clips hooked up. Pretty simple. From here on out, hose is stretched out. Up into our tank, obviously. Hop down, flip the pump on. Crawl up here. Begin fueling. Alright, fueling's all done. 48 gallons. Pretty fancy for this old boy. Throw our cap back on. Fueling's all done, cap replaced. Gonna check our oil here. Do it off camera because I'm doing this one-handed. Oil is good, coolant is good, hydraulic reservoir is good. Now we're gonna move down and grease the sickle header bearings. Up on the platform, obviously, somebody or something left me a present yesterday. See quite a few mulberry seeds in there. You can guess what that is. Go in and start the combine. Alright, key in the ignition. Maybe. That's not going to come up on camera. There we go. Just have to get close enough. It's definitely quieter than our old 510 that we're used to. Parking brake off, multifunction handle. RPM up. Move our steering wheel into position. idle down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the unit. RPM low, that's because I hadn't sped up the RPM yet with this button. Gonna engage the head. You'll have to be patient with me, YouTube. We're learning a new machine. Definitely quite a bit different from the old 510 we're used to. It's kind of hard to do this one-handed, so bear with me. Slow that reel speed down. It was my job in the old 510 to be the monitor when I was younger. It was my job to say, Charles would ask, is it coming in the hopper or is it coming out the butt? And I would say, yes. Now you can just look back. Pretty awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and turn around. Once I get in a nice straight path, I'll bring you back. Alright, I've been meaning to get my row dividers put on, the tips of the header snoots. I keep forgetting them at the shop. I'm getting a lot of wrappage on this side. There's some small shafts that stick out the right hand side of the reel. Outside of that, the combine appears to be performing pretty well. Slow down here on the turn. I'm gonna try to demonstrate getting started here, moving slow because I'm doing this one-handed. Seems to be the right height. Start with that. Try to keep my head full. Cutting at 2.3 miles per hour right now. Drop my head down, try to grab this wheat that's down. Not terribly worried about it since I'm doing this one-handed. My brother Luke is bringing out the extended snoots. That'll get that wrapping taken care of. That's a little frustrating. Outside of that, it seems to be working pretty good. Fuel level after adding the 48 gallons is, I don't know how well you can see that, just under 3/4 of a tank. It's dancing up one and down one. I'm gonna go adjust my sieve settings, check the ground to make sure I'm getting everything, and we will go from there. Alright YouTube, we have our first load. Wanted to quit before got too wild. Opened my sieves, not sure if I like that setting yet. Going to hit the unload button. I already swung my auger out. Hit the unload button. Unload engaged, it says. As soon as I get unloaded here, I'm going to try to put my snoots on. I'm getting more wrapping. I did get out, I started cutting with this side out, and that helped, but this side is wrapping ever so little. I'll go ahead and hit the engine RPM. That's something else, YouTube. That is something else. Got some buggies in there. Not sure if I like where my sieves are set at yet. Seems like I got an abundance of chaff on this load. Might have to go tighten those back up. Pretty incredible though. Glad you guys are here for the ride. Go ahead and throttle down. Don't know that I really need to. I know these newer combines are kind of built to unload on the go, but it's definitely a lot different from an old Massey. This is a New Holland CR920. Go ahead and stow our auger. Don't know if it'll turn up on that. Yeah, it should. Pay close attention. All right, that's pretty slick. Our head is getting shined up. Still got some rust on there, but that should get off of there eventually. We will probably never do enough acres to actually have it shiny, but it's definitely shined up from when we started. Alright, we've got our snoots installed. Hopefully this will solve some of this wrapping issue that we're having. Never really ran with stuff like this. I'm used to the old Masseys. We'll see. I'll bring you along for the ride. You guys get to see it all around here. Well, YouTube, I told you you'd get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. It appears that that side is still wrapping. Now that schnoot is bent in this way a little bit. That was from the previous owners. Not sure what that's about. I'll have to check back in later about that. I'm not sure what to do on that side. I can, however, when I come to the end of the row, Charlie told me this, raise up your head, or raise up your reel rather, and then sometimes by the time you go around to the next swath, it has already relieved itself. That has worked, but of course now that I'm recording, it won't. We're just about to finish up this portion of the field. There, it relieved a little bit of it. And we will bring you along. It's pretty exciting. One thing I am curious about is if just because I grew up on Masseys, where you always had your cab more to the left, so you always cut with that side out, perhaps I'm supposed to leave that side out, the right-hand side. Let me know in a comment below what your thoughts are. I've finished up this small swedge. Now we're going to move on to the north knoll up by those buildings. Alright, pay no mind to the rattling. In my mind, this side being out makes sense because I do have the low RPM spinner on that side of the combine, and you do not want to be running that thing up against tree limbs. On an old 510, it's not really so big a deal. If you ruin your spinner, you just get a different one. That being said, this should finish us up on wheat. I bumped my fan speed up about 50 RPM, and that got me a much cleaner sample. So we're going to get this unloaded, and then we're going to head for the rye field. I was saying earlier, I wanted to make sure you could see it. I got a much cleaner sample. I bumped my fan speed up by 50 RPM, and that cleaned up a lot of the holes. Everything was holed out, but a lot of the holes or husks, if you will, were left in there. So that told me that my fan speed wasn't high enough. Gonna hit the unloader button. Unloader engaged. You can't see that. That's pretty slick, YouTube. That is pretty slick. We're gonna pull all of our clean grain elevator doors, everything like that, and clean out the combine as best we can before we go on to rye. Okay, I'm gonna go over removing the head now. Twist this, open up this simple PTO connection here. Anybody watching these videos will probably know how to do that. You have to take your computer monitor electronic attachment off right here. It's kind of a twisting nut, and then it gets stored up here, right there. And then you push this red button, cam this up, and then that will release your hydraulics. They get stored right here. There's only one PTO on the other side. That's all you have to worry about. And then this is your these are your cam over lugs that hold the head down rigid to the bottom of the table elevator. Okay, I don't know how well you can see those. Try to zoom in here. It looks to be about a foot over the resting pads for the rear of the head. I'm gonna let the head down now. Switch back to fisheye lens. Okay, I'm just gonna hold the camera steady and just pay attention to the head, because do not want to damage this baby. Not quite the best at that yet, YouTube, I'll be honest. I'm sure it'll get easier with practice, but appears we haven't damaged anything yet. Fingers crossed. Okay, now for obvious reasons, we have to drop the head. We're going to have our vacuum or blower out here. That's all wheat chaff, straw, stubble, things like that. You want to be as clean as possible when switching between varieties. Headed back to get the vacuum. Thought I'd show you. Got us a little stowaway on board. Don't know how well that'll turn up. Inchworm, little baby guy. I'll drop him off at the neighbor's. We've got our vacuum on the blower side. Doing a phenomenal job. What you got to do when you switch between wheat and rye. You'll always miss a little, but at least you're putting your best feet forward. Of course, any of the stems, just have to pull off by hand. I can pop these shields, of course. Simple stuff. Make sure that you get a quality product in the bag when you're all said and done. Handy dandy no step door. Works great for getting the hose down into the hopper. Now I'll go all the way around, crawl up that side over there. Also have the plywood for the clean outdoors on the reef rash and clean grain augers. Unloading auger. Gotta get every kernel you can.
Got our auger covers stood up. Always got to keep an eye on those, make sure they don't come down on you. They'll kill you. Now we can clean out from underneath the augers. Whoever said cleanliness is next to godliness had it figured out. On to the next auger. Like I said, folks, be vigilant. Them things fall on you. It's not going to be pretty. Got to back this one out. Got this one 99% clean. I'm going to keep after it. If you can't tell, I'm under the belly of the beast. Got to drop this pan. Got zip ties holding the L deals in. The gnats under here are ferocious. This one here going to a rethrash. Right here, got to drop the rethrash door. Clean grain auger door right there. Whew. Let me tell you, this is the sucky part. Everything else is gravy. Let me tell you, YouTube, it's a lot easier putting those doors in on a creeper on the cement floor. But look at all that nastiness, especially this wheat flour cake. Terrible nastiness that we got out of there. So I've blown off the unit best of my ability, backed it out best of my ability, and we can go from there.